What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Today we are actually going to do yet another Adam Warlock video. This has been something that's been a little bit more requested, but I promise we are going to get a little bit more variety in the spectating videos. We're not just going to do Adam Warlocks every day, I promise. So, but I did do another upload that was more of a damage-heavy Adam Warlock, and I wanted to find a match that showcases his healing ability as well. As you can see, this is NRG.Cal. He's one of the top 6 players in the leaderboard right now, so he's a very strong player. He's been playing a lot more assassins usually, but he actually plays healer this game and kind of pops off, plays really well, plays really safe. So let's head into the replay and see what we can learn from this guy. Me, especially when I play healer, I like to make sure that people are topped off most of the time. So I like when people are higher on health, like 100% health, if I can at least. That's just something that I really like to do as healer. But with this character, you are going to have to get much more comfortable leaving people at 80%, 70%, because you just simply will not have the bandwidth to top people when they're at 90, 95%, something like that. So as you can see, Star-Lord's taking a little bit of damage, Magneto's taking a little bit of damage, but not until he reaches 80% is Adam actually hitting his E and topping them off. His auto attack is also very good. His left click, so you can see he's just going for pot shots while he's waiting for his abilities to recharge, and occasionally weaving in a charged up right click, using his shift when he is near all of his allies, getting a lot of healing, periodically normalizing his allies' health. As you can see, the Wolverine actually dashes past there, but he doesn't want to use one of his big heals on Wolverine, and so he opts to heal the bigger, massive people in front of him and lets the Mantis top the Wolverine off to the side. His team rounds this corner pretty well. They get a little bit of ground here, and he drops to about 67 health, and he is able to actually get a little bit more damage here, but he drops low again. And you can see here that he's actually playing this corner and peeking with his right click instead of standing out in the open with his left click, which definitely is a good thing to do, especially when you are lower on health and you don't have any heals to top yourself. The Star-Lord ults, and his team is actually able to survive this pretty well. They all kind of line of sight him until it ends. And he actually drops a pre-res here, and the Wolverine actually dies after the res goes out, and the Mantis was already dead, so he does res a healer and the DPS, and his team is able to carry that momentum into the next point. So very important. Something to note about Adam's res is that he dropped that behind a pillar in somewhere that's relatively safe. You definitely want to be dropping or at least pressing the res when you are in a relatively safe location, because the players that you are resing will be sent back to that location, and they will not be full HP. So definitely don't put that in the middle of a fight, because people will just get res, they'll be half HP, there'll be a brief delay, and they will just get shredded again, and you will have accomplished hardly anything. So definitely keep that in mind. He gets Eye of Agamotto'd here and bursted down, but he actually is able to use his cocoon. As you can see, there's still 5 members of his team alive, so he's able to cocoon, self-res himself, and keep up the pressure on this point, because they are very close to this checkpoint. His Mantis blows ult, and he switches over to more damage mode, uses his E, but definitely focuses on doing more damage when his Doctor Strange ults. So very important, and they're able to take this first checkpoint pretty clean. And right here, he's just got 2 charges of his E, so he makes sure to top off the Magneto and use the charges, because the fight is a little bit further down the road. So keeping people at 100% health before the fight actually happens is definitely something you want to do, because during the fight, you will have limited healing resources. He stands pretty far back here, just topping people from a distance, and contributes his damage to knock out that Doctor Strange right there. Waits for the Magneto to drop to about 50%, and then since the Magneto is by himself, Magneto will take all 3 ticks of his heal, so he's able to pretty much hit the Magneto for half of his health as far as healing. Their Star-Lord actually kind of throws right here. His Star-Lord just ults and kills their ulting Star-Lord, so they get a lot of distance on this payload right here. They round this corner with relative ease, and they can keep rocking and rolling. He does have res here, so he's trying to stay safe, make sure that he doesn't get Magneto ulted. Magneto kills his Doctor Strange right there, and he steps around this corner, reses the Doctor Strange in safety, and pops a little bit of healing. His Mantis ults to make sure the Strange stays safe right as he comes back, and they can exert that pressure. and they end up getting a couple kills this way as well. So, and then contributes the healing into the Mantis there and picks the other Adam on the side of this fight. So they are able to pretty cleanly wipe because he reses someone, and they can get that momentum back even after losing their Strange. So right here, they are just kind of making space. They've got the payload moving. They've got it going. So all of their teammates step up to create a little bit more space between them and the payload, and they still have one person standing on the payload to keep it moving. He does a lot of damage to the Hawkeye, and the Hawkeye is picked off by the Magneto. Because he is able to go for something that's a little bit more risky like that, because he knows he has Cocoon, he knows he can just res himself and keep up the pressure, but that pick is definitely more important. Something that's also very, very good about this comp is that he is running with 2 blocking tanks, so there's a lot less stray damage that his DPS are taking because of the Magneto and the Doctor Strange playing so well around each other. I would definitely be interested in watching this replay back and checking out the tank gameplay, because I think his tanks play very, very well. I think his Mantis plays very, very well, covering the gaps in his healing. And as you can see, the tanks are playing very, very well and creating a lot of space for this payload just to move like pretty much seamlessly into the point. His Doctor Strange drops a double portal on the enemy spawn, so the enemy actually can't even push out of their spawn until the round is over. So a very, very clean first round from NRG.Cal, and we will go into the second one to see what it's like on defense. I did have someone mention in one of my last videos that high-ranked games do feel like they're on slow-mo, and this game is definitely one of them that feels like that, especially when you're playing Adam Warlock. It feels like not a whole lot happens until it does, and then you're like, oh, what happened to the enemy team? So it's going to feel a little bit more like that when Adam is kind of in the game. He's very, very cooldown based, so things will happen until they don't, and the other way around. So again, you can see this Wolverine on the side, but he doesn't top him off quite yet. He's making sure that he is holding his heals a little bit more and then using them when he's able to. So, and again, his team plays around his cooldowns very, very well. The Wolverine realizes that he's not getting heals right there, so he just stands around a corner. There's no rush, and waits till he gets healed so that he can get back into the fight, and they end up turning the fight pretty easily as the enemy try to round that corner. Push them back pretty much to spawn, and then decide to back up as the Doctor Strange drops low. But as you can see, he just did about 60% of the Doctor Strange's HP with 1E, because it is basically all hitting into the tank. So definitely play around with that too. Play around with how much you're going to actually heal targets with your E, if there's X amount of targets around them. The enemy Mantis ults, the Jeff ults, and he Spirit Bonds here, which is a very good defensive cooldown, helps his team stay alive, and he realizes that he has res and the enemy is blowing some ults. He sees the 2-piece come through, so he loses his Strange and his Wolverine, reses them around this corner, and then they put a little bit of healing into them so they can get right back into the fight. The other thing that I started to mention earlier that I didn't was that he is also playing with a Star-Lord and a Mantis, so getting through his team is going to be very, very difficult. If he can just farm res and res the tanks, that is really all he needs to do. As long as they are alive, then he's chilling, because Star-Lord and Mantis will both get his passive ability because of their team up. So even if the Mantis gets picked, even if the Star-Lord gets picked, it'll be very, very hard for the enemy team to exert that amount of pressure before the teammate gets rezzed. Their Magneto ults and doesn't actually kill anyone there, and he is again just staying back, playing range, topping people off, and letting Mantis do a lot of the top off work as far as healing. His teammates are a little bit low on health, so this Doctor Strange does line of sight, giving him a little bit of time to regenerate his E, since it is on cooldown. And as soon as their Mantis ults, everyone's on full HP, and they're able to push forward and really showcase the kind of push and pull of these higher ranked games, where you are getting pushed back a little bit, you give a little bit of ground, and then you use a big cooldown and come back. You can see the Star-Lord uses his Cocoon there, got picked, but he is now already back in the fight. And Cal is just sitting back here, staying safe. Mantis also reses herself. Mantis gets picked and is able to Cocoon and get herself back up. So again, the enemy has just basically got 2 picks there, but they're still fighting against 6 full health players. So very, very good. If you have a Star-Lord or a Mantis that want to play with you, definitely pick up some Adam Warlock. You can do a lot of good stuff with him. Goes for a little cheeky flank right here just to get a little bit more damage. He knows he has ult, so he needs to stay safe and on the side over here. Commits both charges of his E. Actually misses his spirit bond right there, so he only bonds himself. But he uses both charges of his E. And again, it gets into this corner to drop the res around this corner. And reses his Magneto, so his Magneto can get right back into the fight. That res also does persist for a little while, so he's able to res things as the duration continues. It doesn't need to be used at a specific time or anything like that. It is pretty lenient as long as you are thinking about it. Always kill the Loki clones, definitely a good idea. Cuts his damage in fractions, cuts his healing in fractions, so. And they are in overtime. They have a lot of good pressure on the enemy team. He pumps a little bit of damage into the Strange there. They're able to take down the Magneto and kill this little AFK Namor that is standing in the path. So, a very, very clean game from NRG.Cal. He plays very, very safe, and it's very like textbook healing Adam Warlock. So, I hope you guys learned something from this video. It's definitely a character that I would recommend trying. You can play him as a third healer and do a little bit more damage, or you can play him as a healer and try and get that good ebb and flow of a fight. He doesn't get MVP here, but he does go, he's down here, he goes 19, 2, and 16, does a good amount of damage and does a ton of healing in the process, keeping his team safe, getting plenty of reses, playing very, very well. So if there's anything else you guys want to see from the channel, any next spectating videos, any characters that you specifically want me to look for and talk about, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below, like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.